Have I been muted this entire time? Oh my gosh. I've been voice acting all of it. I'm so sad. I forgot that I muted my microphone. No. No, it's fine. That's on me. I should have remembered that I had muted it. I did not check my microphone. No one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that. What are you saying? I was really attacked. I really was attacked. We'll find out if what you said is true or not during the cross-examination. Got that, Mr. Trite? No, don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign of if I see any sign that you are, I'll threat you. I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. He's just a little guy, Your Honor. Wearing what? That? Could you please clarify what you're referring to? Why, my Mask to Mask costume, of course. Well, wait just a moment. Mask to Mask? Oh, did I forget to mention that before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask to Mask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO and of KB Security. What? Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this. I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either. Even I didn't know that. It seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets. I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind? Huh. My 6th cup of coffee is staring up at me coldly. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony. Okay. Why were you dressed as Mask to Mask? Why? Because I'm Mask to Mask, of course. What are you talking about? Mask to Mask's trial is being held next door. Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Mask to Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him just to be safe. Oh boy. Well, let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took longer than I expected. Took longer? Took a lot longer? What is he talking about? Press harder. What do you mean by took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught in the door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body. What was that? Back up a second. Yes? You were the one that hid the body in the safe? Well, yeah? Inconceivable. Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking? Question. When does someone toss their their dirty shorts? Wait. Why is the horror music playing now? Oh my god. Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine? Not Linus. Linus is too good for that. You mean Lewis? What? The answer is simple. When they take them off.
What does that mean, Godot?
As usual, I have no idea what you're saying. Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer? Mayor. Ha, you're not as stupid as you look. I don't want to be kidding the judge. I hate it here. Girl, help. I can't believe this. His metaphor this time was really obscure. Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you? Well, yes. Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to the testimony. Yes, sir. Oh, it looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather, Judge. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyway? Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer? That's not exactly what I meant. Oh, when I saw that corpse, I kinda lost it. I thought, if they find his corpse, they'll think I did it. Huh. I think you had a simpler reason to think that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body. That certainly makes more sense. Yeah. Hold on. 10 minutes? What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide a body? Try to hide the body and spend 10 whole minutes to do it? Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh. Hey, Nick. If you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present the evidence or some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? That's it. I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence. We heard this from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we? There's not much in this testimony either. I bet you he's still hiding something. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him. I hope he doesn't make things more complicated. Da 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 da. Okay. I'm very, very sure of what I need to present, but... Wait, shoot, no! I might as well just load this. That would take less time. Haha! Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record? And what might that be, or this be? The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If that button in the office, or if the button in the office is pressed, a security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m. What? If Mr. Ron Delight truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been headed his way. Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building. He worked there, dummy. Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them. But, as it turns out, the guard never came. That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser, who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend, and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity, is not something Mr. Delight could have known. Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off. This buzzer is extremely loud. There is no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is. Conscious? What do you mean by that? Ugh. Fine. Let's hear your theory. Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said that he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes. Unconscious, so he fainted. That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body. So what are you trying to say? Mr. Delight was knocked out and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. So, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in that room. That's right, whoever it was, they knocked out Ron Delight and then pressed the buzzer. Oh, order in the court. Mr. Wright, this is... This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delight, that's the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then who pressed the buzzer? It was the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push that button. So Kane Bullard sounded off the buzzer himself. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright? I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene, but how? Can I prove it wasn't Kane Bullard that sounded the buzzer? I want to see his autopsy report. He definitely died at 1. And the alarm was sounded at 1:02. That's what I want to go with. And the defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. This piece of evidence proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. Oh! The lack of handprints! That's what it was. I believe this is the piece of it, incontrovertible evidence you were looking for. The emergency buzzer. Is there some kind of clue on it? Absolutely not. Hey, come on now, at least give some thought in what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue. Now I'm the one who's clueless. This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left his fingerprints behind. Poof! Ron Delight obviously wiped them off. Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He touched that button, I know he did. The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Master Mask. And Master Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have had to wipe the buttons free of fingerprints? Da 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 da. Order, order, order. Huh. It would seem. Oh god. I've been forced to eat crow. I wonder what blend number crow flavored coffee is. However, if the real killer was there at the scene. No, not Theo. Why would that person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? What's with this awkward silence all of a sudden? Huh. It looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks. They're on to you, Nick. Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard around 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in there. Or waltz in then. When? Oh my gosh. When the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer. Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed. Security was supposed to respond. Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say. Very well then. Uh-huh, you got some guts. I like that in an opponent. I'm gonna go with to call the security guard. The killer knew that if they pressed the button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted. Do you mean the killer called the guard on purpose? Yes. Although, as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time. What a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in. No, I'm not. When the buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Rhonda Light, who was out cold. And the third person, the real killer. Hypothetically, yes. Let's say, hypothetically. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that bit. I cannot do that bit. Now then. In this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Rhonda Light. And if any security guards came running in at the time, they would think that I was the murderer. Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. To frame Rhonda Light for the murder. Oh no. Order, order, order. It would seem I've been made to eat my words once again. Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee. Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only Master Mask, so... Nick, you mean the real killer is... We're going to drag that person in here right now.
But who is it?
I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Ron Delight for the murder of Kane Bullard? We know who it is. We know. You. Detective Luke Atme. He's the only one who could have done it. The ace detective. Luke Atme.
You mean Master Mask did it?
Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Master Mask at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard.
Order, Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Theft and murder, which is the more serious crime?
They're not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to a capital punishment.
Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atme confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom.
Of course, the famous detective was unmasked as, well, as Master Mask.
Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along.
To be found guilty.
Master Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Master Mask was Luke Atme's airtight, watertight, and unassailable alibi.
A guilty verdict as an alibi. You know, it's almost time. But for what? For Luke Atme's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial after all. If we're going to stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course. That's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder. Mr. Luke Atme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and fail to provide adequate proof of his true crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal.
Am I really sure about this?
Huh. I bet's only good when your life is
the ante. Mr. Wright, I believe in you. Mr. Delight. So, please, I'm begging you. Go to your mind palace. Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix.
Mia? What was that?
Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust. That voice. It sounds like... Mia? Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate recess.
So that's your answer, huh? Very well. I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Atme to the stand.
Yes, Your Honor. Why is Payne here?
Well, Sir Detective Atme. I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly. Oh no, Sir Detective Atme, you were the one who...
That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant Luke Atme.
Kill him. Kill. Wait. Don't hand down your verdict yet. Please. Well. I need to... He needs to have a British accent. I need to give him a British accent. Let me... Shifting to horrible man mode. Ugh. Okay.
Well, Sir Lawyer, welcome to my courtroom.
Who's this hoser, eh?
My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law. And I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atme.
Accusation? You excuse Master Mask.
That man is not Mask to Mask. He's just a ruthless murderer.
What?
Horrible men who I hate very much. To be continued. Ah, my eyeball. Dun, dun. Okay.
My sis?
I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice.
So then she's still alive.
Inside your heart. Nicky boy! Oh, Miss Delight. Is it true that Detective is the real killer? To be honest, we don't have any definite proof. But he's the only one who could have done it. But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night?
Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard?
Oops, it's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof. And it's gotta happen sooner rather than later. October 14th. Cadeau. Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atme, please take the stand.
Well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly.
I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Master Mask.
I'm sorry, I'm afraid even the great Luke Atme has no idea what you mean. Of course, I've been in the next courtroom, ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in there, or in here.
You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Master Mask.
Indeed, it's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example.
So you continue to insist that you are in fact Master Mask?
Of course.
Wait, he just brought up the ring, which was part of the blackmail letter. Okay, buddy. Very well then, Luke Atme. Let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time?
One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. Don't worry about it. I will not hold it against you, Sir Dutch.
Thanks. Alright, Mr. Atme. The night of the murder. Speak. We're all ears.
As you wish, Sir Prosecutor.
Okay.
I was stealing the urn as Master Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Master Mask was the same time as the murder.
It seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene. Everything else up to this point was part of his. Everything else up until now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well.
Even the great Master Mask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive.
Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination.
A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. I think he's trying to say you're full of it, Nick.
The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. Okay. It's a pathetically easy job. There's something up with the picture. So, by photograph, do you mean this piece of evidence here? Is that correct?
Indeed it is. That is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime.
The very thing that proves you committed the crime. When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose. He was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that.
Indeed, it turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. Life is truly an ironic thing, a sad blue melody.
It looks like I'd better gather more information for now. If he's truly the killer, there's gotta be something phony in that photo. But it doesn't say the date on the photo, does it? About the camera that took this photograph.
Oh, come now, it's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you?
I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that put in that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered. I see. It looks like I'd better find something else that could be suspicious.
So, this alibi is false.
It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security.
But I'm not really spotting anything unusual.
There are two possibilities. Either the mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. I want to show the photo. It doesn't have a date. And also, the box doesn't have any pink stains on it. And also, why would he be entering into the warehouse like that? That was after the statue was moved, too. There's just a lot of things going on in this photo. Do do do. I want to show the picture. Ah, shoot. No, the box got stained because I don't know when the box got stained actually. I don't know. It had to do something with Adrian Andrews like dropping it and then the paint fell onto the like it was a whole ordeal with Adrian. She's the reason why the paint was a thing. But the statue was on top of the paint at that time. So like when the heck did the statue get moved? Because when they were investigating the day before, or like looking around the exhibit, the statue wasn't moved. But the next night, the statue was moved so they could see the paint stain. Because Adrian was trying to hide this paint stain to be like, I totally didn't get paint on the vase, guys. Don't worry about it. Okay. I'm gonna present picture again. Please? Shoot. I must have to... Nah. Also, this music makes me think about Plants vs. Zombies, and I like it. So this photograph is the proof, right?
Indeed it is.
And the man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask.
That is why I'm called Mask to Mask.
But conveniently, that also means there's no way to tell who this really is. What do you mean?
Are you saying that this is not in fact Luke Atme? That this could be an accomplice dressed as Mask to Mask to create an alibi?
Oh, what an interesting idea. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice?
If Luke Atme was at KB's security during the murder, then the mask to mask in this picture has to be a fake. Exactly. You had an accomplice.
Now remember you've said that, Mr. Trite, because there's no going back. If you're making baseless claims, I'll treat you to a penalty myself.
That penalty is probably boiling hot, too.
So who is it, Mr. Trite? Who was the accomplice?
I want to say it's Ron. 'Cause, like... Can I save? I'm pretty sure it's Ron. It was this person. Shoot.
Huh, that's quite the prank you're trying to pull. Do you have any evidence that this person is in fact the accomplice?
Well, the aura. The aura that this person has around them.
If you're going to judge somebody by their aura, you'd be right up there with the number one suspect, Mr. Wright.
Oh, I just jumped the gun on that one. Who the heck? It's gotta. He could have also not had an accomplice. Okay. If Luke Atme was at the... then the Master Mask in this picture has to be a fake.
Then there really was an accomplice.
But right now I have no idea who it was.
I don't have any idea right now either.
Baseless objections are just what that guy wants. Wait, is... I have... I have a theory, but I think it's probably wrong. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point.
That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken.
You sent the calling card to Lord Lee Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right?
Indeed, there was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my largest target.
I see. You truly are evil, aren't you?
Yes, evil is what I am. Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this?
Huh?
Detective Atme was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But the urn was stolen from Lord Lee Taylor while he was the only one watching it. He'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona.
You know, that's true. That is kind of odd.
So, this alibi is false.
It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security.
But I'm not really spotting anything unusual.
There are two possibilities. Either the Master Mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. Master Mask was the same time as the murder. Two weeks ago, she knocked over some paint. So that happened 2 weeks ago. So that would have been 14 days, so like 6 days after Luke joined. Also means that the box would have been covered in pink. Replaced in its box, kept out of sight. Nope. Wait. The statue. This, No. This blackmail letter was aimed at Luke. It wasn't aimed at what's his face. It was aimed at Luke. Because Luke has the red diamond. I'm pretty sure. Same time as the murder. But it looks like you're stealing something else. No. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna look at the walkthrough. Because I have genuinely no idea what to do for this. Oh, you have to. Meh. 1, 2. You have to go back to this. So by photograph, do you mean this piece of evidence here? Is that correct?
Indeed it is. That is it, the very thing that proves I committed the crime.
The very thing that proves you committed the crime. Surely even you understand by now.
Lordly Taylor provided that camera. There's no way I could have tampered with it. That means I could not have killed Kane Bullard unless I had an accomplice.
Come on, think long and hard about that night. The basement warehouse, and this picture was supposedly captures it. It's gotta be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? I bet there is.
Are you implying that this picture is a fake?
You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night before we left, or the theft took place. There's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Very well. Then let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny? Here? The funny part is right here. Why, this is a blood stain. Ah, blood. Now this case is getting interesting. Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint. Oh, just paint. And peach colored at that. From blood to peaches. The judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. So when they asked about what was wrong with the pic, did they let you point it out, or was it just a choice? You have to look at like 2 other things before you can go back and ask about that again, which is annoying. I looked at all of the options, but you have to look at 2 and 4 and then go back to that one and be like, "Hey, wait a minute. You wouldn't have wanted that to happen." The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse. It turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen. Well, Mr. Wright, what is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains? The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering the paint stains. That's why I put it where you saw it first saw it. I myself was there the night the theft took place and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there. But when I left there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner. Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally. Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. Huh. In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night?
Can you do it, Nick?
Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with your answer. Now then, who was it that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime? Moved again that night. And then that was hidden. Who moved it? Da, 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 da. I'm gonna say it's Luke. The one who moved the statue was none other than Luke Atme.
Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you are again with one of your strange delusions.
Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions? It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night.
That is indeed very simple, however. Why would I want to move a heavy golden statue?
The reason for moving the gold statue. Here's where our battle really begins. Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue? The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at this graph. Look at me, you pretended to be Mask to Mask to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would have been exposed like cheap film at a drugstore. And that's why you had to move the statue. A single fatal flaw. Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Does this lie exist? I'm gonna check the walkthrough because I don't want to deal with that. Okay, cool. Naturally, the lie in this photo is the timestamp. Well, what do you mean? I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time. But what does that have to do with the statue being moved? Remember, if you will, Your Honor, when was this statue placed beside the warehouse door? Well, the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Atme had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim. So, in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. What the? Of course, the statue hadn't yet been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. Ah. So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-haired cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Or long-tailed cat. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match the way it had been in his photo. Gah! Order. Mr. Atme, is this true? One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this? What's that? The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lordly Taylor staff. However, the program used to manage the data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data. No, ow. Order. Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Oh no. Godot, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down. My 11th cup. I've promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial.
Which means I'm still good till the last drop. However, the defense has a very good point. A good point? So what? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points.
I think he's got his points mixed up with his other points.
So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match? That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied,
Which is.
that it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams. That's very true. No way. Don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Damask.
Yes?
There's no funny business in your actions at Mass Damask. There should be no problem with you telling us your strategy. So let's hear it. Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn.
I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box, and Zawari, it was, it was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. That's pretty much all the stuff we've heard before, isn't it?
Yeah, but we will find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave. Witness, you're sure there are no mistakes this time?
Zavari.
Very well then. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Hmm.
20 days ago, placed in the box, went to the warehouse. Unable to see the urn. Handled the security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly.
Not a lot to go on, is there? The detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. That he took this photo the night or well before the actual night of the crime. Alright then, how do we do that?
There's only one thing that Atme stated very clearly. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it.
We need to prove that he's lying.
He had never seen the urn before. He was sent to the warehouse. Wait. But Maya made the box.
All of this is so whack. Okay. You were asked to guard the urn by Miss Adrian Andrews, is that right? Indeed, it seems that they had heard about my what swerking what reputation. Don't know what that means, man. I see Miss Andrews is still attracting the weirdos. You better watch out too, Maya. You mean this box? Yes, that pathetic box. Lady Andrews was especially taken with that urn. And she wouldn't let anyone enter the storeroom, not even me. Huh, interesting new tidbit. So, you're sure that you had never seen the urn before? Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse. However, I, Luke Atme, let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. You mean this calling card? That's right. That's it, without a doubt, that's my calling card. I guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all. Of course, because Atme knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him. Then no one entered the basement warehouse. Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there. Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. And this is the photo that proves that, huh? Indeed, to be honest, if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much. Hey Nick, if this photo is a fake, Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken. That's true. You know, he's been saying he never saw the urn until that night. If we can prove he's lying there, we can wrap this up now and put a bow on it. I need to take a good, hard look at the court record. Not a lot to go on. Yep. Did he tell? Alright then, how do we do that? Something at me. He had never seen the urn before he stole it. And to prove that he's lying. How would you have known it was a valuable treasure? Oh. But she hid it. That doesn't feel right. Yeah, no. My crime goes smoothly. 10 days. Wait. Would that be it? I don't think that would be it. Ah, shoot. We need to prove that he has seen the thing before the 12th. How the heck am I supposed to prove that he saw it before the 12th? Okay, I'm just gonna look at the walkthrough. I don't want to deal with this. Oh my gosh. That's what you have to do? Oh my gosh. It's a stinking calling card. Because he says speckled. Oh my gosh, I would not have gotten that. Mr. Atme, if you really are Master Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct?
But of course.
Is there a problem with that calling card?
Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Master Mask had written. Take good care of that speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn.
Yes, that is true. But so what?
Truth be told, there's no way that Master Mask could have known about this pattern.
But what do you mean?
This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains.
Paint stains.
And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor.
I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite.
The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say, error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn.
You can't be serious.
And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when the fake photo was taken. And because this photo was a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. Wow, 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 wow.
Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself?
All right, that did it. He's broken.
Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose.
Huh?
Oh, Godot. Huh. It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday, we were all unanonymous that this man was Master Mask. And now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle? That's a good point.
No way. Don't fall for that too, Your Honor.
You say that Luke Atme was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Let me ask you this. Why would he do that?
An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might you say my merry murderous motive manifest? Nick, he's getting a second wind.
If he prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Rhonda Light, as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder. And the only one with any motive we've seen is Rhonda Light. Isn't that right, Detective?
Indeed, according to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without motive... Oh, wait, wrong voice. Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us all, as to what the defendant's motives were.
I'd be honored to, Sir Oldtimer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. I, Luke Atme, had no point of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote that blackmail letter and sent it to Wrong Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Master Mask. That is why Mr. Delight thought fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy. I'm gonna point out the red diamond.
So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant.
This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. The handwriting test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter.
A what?
Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination.
Safe. Gonna get his ass. Get his ass. But the red diamond, bestie. Ah, it's too early to do this. I wanted it to be. I wanted it to work. I wanted it to work. This.
Yes, get his ass.
Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme?
But, well, if it's just a few, I guess it's alright.
When you said that this letter was addressed to Ron Delight, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction.
Contradiction?
I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that.
You're one to talk.
At times like these, men are made to expose themselves with their fists, or express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior?
Indeed, time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter.
Red diamond.
It's the contradiction evidence in the content of the blackmail letter. Oh. Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the tear of Emanon, the stolen jewel.
Well, what about it?
The problem is that this jewel's color.
Color. I'm not much for discussing color myself.
According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day.
Red?
Which means the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the tear of Emanon that Master Mask stole it all. Da 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 da.
And your point is, Mr. Trite? So you're trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That's what you're trying to say, right, Trite? And that's what you're trying to say, right, Trite? Right, Mr. Right, blah 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 blah.
Well, that's what you're trying to say, right, Nick?
Yes. Yes. This is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing. It's you. Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme. Do you have some sort of bias for that, or basis for that claim? You have been personally involved in every single Master Mask case, and in the last case, you recovered what was stolen and received a jewel as your reward.
A jewel?
Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. Yes. That is the diamond referred to in the letter. Which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you. Ah! Order in the court. Order, I say.
It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Trite.
Uh-oh, I don't like the way he said that.
Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you for real?
Yes, I am.
Nick, come on, stand up to him.
Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage, if you don't want your identity revealed to the world. Yes, it certainly does. Kane Bullard was threatening to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep a secret. So, just what was that identity?
Atme killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of the secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret?
This is what it all comes down to, Nick.
The identity that Luke Atme wanted so desperately to keep secret was his identity as a blackmailer. Luke Atme was a blackmailer.
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone else on top of that?
You have to admit, that does sound a little odd.
It's not odd, it's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme. But Ron Delight was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So when did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tear of Emanon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person. Extremely detailed plans. Detailed plans. In which case, that would mean that Ron Delight was actually Master Mask. That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atme.
Shh! Silence. Now I see, it's all becoming clear.
What is?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with the tendency to jump to conclusions, am I wrong?
How did you?
You say that I, Luke Atme, was blackmailing Ron Delight. In which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Master Mask.
Well, yes.
Ron Delight started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed that first crime.
Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise. In that case, let's see some hot, better evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atme know that Ron Delight was Master Mask? I'm gonna say it's this. I think I see it.
See what?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief trying to be the center of attention.
What do you mean?
This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Master Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket. That sounds far too stupid to be true. Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learned that under his mask, Master Mask was really Ron Delight. But he wasn't supposed to be Master Mask. Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. Can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud, trying to pass himself off as an ace detective.
Why, you, how dare you expose me like that? Why, I mean, I never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective and also Master Mask. Why can't you understand that?
I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. And that's your true identity.
Why, you...
Those big mouth... That... That's enough to me. I inhaled my own spit. It would seem we finally arrived at the real answer.
That was quite a performance by Mr. Atme.
Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Atme. Whore. The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim. What do you mean? I've already prepared to deliver my ruling. Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge.
You don't get much more in your face than that.
It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite. What do you... It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Loot Atme was a filthy blackmailer. And that he wasn't at Lordly Taylor the night of the murder. That's right. That's why he's the one who killed Mr. Bull. But there's still one thing you've yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene.
Therefore, you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB security. Then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No way! Order in the court. Well, Mr. Wright. This is it. This is the final round. I've got to prove that Atme was at Bullard's office on that night.
But can you really prove that?
That's long enough, Mr. Trite. I want to hear your answer. That night, Luke Atme was at KB security, and the defense... I want to say we can prove it. The defense can prove it. With evidence. Are you sure? Huh. Don't you worry, I'll watch over you. As you break down and fall into pieces. Very well then. Let's see this proof. Proof that Luke Atme was at KB security that night. I want to say the button. This is the proof. Ah, shoot. It's true, that is very important. However, I'm not so foolish to think that it will pass for evidence here. Mr. Trite, it's time you learned the true flavor of life. The flavor of my special Godot Blend 49. Well, Mr. Wright. It's bitter. Very bitter.
Dang it. Come on, Nick, don't give up now.
I have to present evidence. That night he was at KB security. What was proof that he was at KB security? The blackmail letter. Please? This is the proof? No? Dang it. Can't prove it? I can't prove it. Just as I thought. Oh no. But if we hear more of Detective Atme's testimony, unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Trite. But what do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony, that's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atme here is here after we interrupted his own trial, and you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as mask to mask. No.
Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all.
Love wins? Detective Luke Atme is gay?
I am the ace detective as well as mask to mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Lights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness,
Ah, my spine. Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over this witness. I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is...
Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence and...
By then it'll be too late.
Huh? Well, why?
Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law.
Double jeopardy.
Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts. And it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else. Mr. Atme will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as mask to mask, which means he will be innocent as far as the murder of Cain Bullard is concerned.
No way.
The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atme's guilt of that crime here means that he will never again be tried as Cain Bullard's murderer.
Wow. Objection? Not again. Now there's nothing I could possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atme, will go free.
You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. As long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections?
He's doing the gripping sprite. Men who are doing the gripping sprite.
Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atme.
Mia?
I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, what was on your this was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result.
How did you...
Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets.
That voice. No way.
Mia, let's go. Long time no see, Phoenix.
But Mia? This is the true power of the Korean channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey.
Now let's do this.
But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine.
Not yet. The testimony is not over yet.
What do you mean?
Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today.
Yes, that's true, but...
Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks. Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out. I'm the ace detective as well as Master Mask. My verdict will verify that. Justice Wander Lights will verify that he's the true murderer.
Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever.
Very well. Then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks...
I know, literally. It's the love wins line makes me lose my mind. Luke Atme's gay, then it does a heel spin and it's like the whole defense is gay, Your Honor.
We, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor?
Is something the matter, Mr. Godot? You seeing a ghost? Nothing.
Oh, Sir Lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think such falsehoods will do anything to me, look at...
Let's hear it.
Huh?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Are you screaming? He's seeing a ghost, bestie. He's seeing a ghost. He is very good in this case. I think he's funny. I think I'm gonna like him. I like dudes that are messed up a little bit. I think they're funny. Men that I would put in a glass jar and shake around. It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination.
Mr. Godot, what are you...
You can't say anything. I know some things about him. I know some stuff about Bridge to Turnabout. But also, I think he's a little bit funny. I think he's a little bit silly and funny. Very well then, Mr. Luke Atme. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks. The defense would like to hear what you have declared the defendant to be, why you've declared the defendant to be the true murderer. So please give us one last bit of testimony. Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. The last testimony.
Indeed, it is true that I was not Lord Taylor. I had to leave to see another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was that what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the key card and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. So I was able to make the deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would not have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. And the blackmail letter. The victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zawari. Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy.
This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything.
But of course.
But how did you know about the emergency buzzer?
The police investigation documents went directly through me. And I always took over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer.
Grrr. The sheer amount of times Phoenix goes grrr. Are you gonna make even more trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer? I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. We cannot postpone Luke Atme's trial any longer. This is your last chance. Hang on a sec. Just one chance? It seems that the party's about to begin.
Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts with that testimony. So it would seem.
What do you mean, so it would seem?
Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance.
If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it. Cup number 17, the last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial.
Go to your mind, Palace.
I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony, and I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Remember, you only get one chance. Well then, Mr. Wright, please begin your final cross-examination.
It's the final countdown.
That won't be a problem. That is iffy. I known about. Okay. Brilliant deduction was inform me the true culprit. Keycard and wallet. That's someone I'm annoyed about. Mr. Atme, about this last remark. You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. Ah. Wah. Wah. I said this before. There's still one thing you haven't proven.
Ah.
That this scum was in Kane Bullard's office that night. And now, it's time for me to drink my last cup. What? This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial, nor is there any need for more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear and there is no room for misinterpretation of the facts. This court finds the defendant Rondelight. Oh no. The accused will surrender to the court immediately, to be held pending trial at a higher court in the month or today's date. I got the male wife killed. That is all. The court is adjourned. Oh my god. That's really funny. It's not Lordly Taylor. Known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Rhonda Light. Suddenly clear that he was there. Da, da. Okay, that... Why would he have sounded the alarm, though? But he isn't a poor boy because he's a thief.
Wait a minute, how did you know that he was wearing his outfit?
That wasn't brought up.
Mr. Atme, about this last remark. Ah, shoot. We're just gonna press on everything, man. Why would the killer have sounded that? Meh. Back, back. Escape. Can you not escape after this port? Seriously? Seriously? Ron Delight dies again. Okay. What the heck am I supposed to do? It says to press on things. I'm pretty sure is what Mia meant. Left no prints. That's not the right one. That's not the right one. Why he had no prints? I thought they said don't press? But the whole thing was that Wright was like, I don't know what evidence to show against this. And Mia's like, you don't have to show evidence. Huge contradictions. I've got to find it. As far as I can see, there's no evidence that contradicts his testimony. All you can do is press him. And you've only got one shot. Valid. Not at Lordly Taylor. Another vitally important job request. I'd known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. Wait! That's a weird remark, though. Why is that not letting me exit out? Oh my gosh. It might be. But also he said, like... Oh! How would he have known that the buzzer only sounded once? About this last remark. Just don't get it, do you try... Little statement, wah. Said this before. It's okay. It's not the buzzer either. Yeah. What's the glaring contradiction? So it's not that, it's not that. Da da da. Hi. We're literally on the last part of this trial, and we keep getting Ron Delight sent to hell. So it will go back once he gets sent to jail once again. Come on. Okay, so the ones we have tried are... Okay, we've not tried this one. We've not tried this one. I don't know if we tried this one. Whoops. Wait a minute. How did he know about the keycard in the wallet? About this last remark. Whoa. 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 Wah. I hate this game. I hate Ace Attorney. It's my least favorite game. But Mia would never lie. Mia's the smart one. We tried this one. We tried this one. We tried this one. I think we tried that one. No, I don't think I did. Cause most of these it's made me go I don't know. We might have hit the right one and it like does it start the same way? Should I just look at the walkthrough? I'm just gonna look at the walkthrough. I'm just gonna be filled with hatred. Okay. Da, 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 da. There's 11 parts. The 9th. Did we get the right one? Oh my gosh. No, I did get the right one. I just restarted it because I thought it was wrong. Yeah, it's this one. Mr. Atme, about this last remark. You still don't get it, do you, trite? This is the time for being present witness on every little statement. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. I hate this. What? Mr. Atme, it seems you finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder.
How could you say that?
Yeah. True. But also, it makes you go, I need to reload. Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? This is like the second one I guessed, too. I'm mad. The button didn't have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. Is that correct?
Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof.
Yeah, they do. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool.
I'm sorry, whatever do you mean?
Wrong voice.
For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty.
Yeah, because your mask is gonna explode. When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as Master Mask when he went to the scene of the crime?
That was, that was just a few hours ago. Back when my sixth cup was looking at me with a cold stare.
Uh-huh. Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry, I never had a chance to mention it up until now.
That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should have known were those who had been watching the trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There is no way that you should have known about that.
Ah, yeah.
You were in the next courtroom being tried as Master Mask. So then enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information?
Well... come on, this detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand.
And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. There is one and only one way for Detective Atme to have found that out.
Only one? Only one, you say?
Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. It's Luke Atme. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer.
But Mr. Delight never saw his attacker. So there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme.
It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head.
Just what are you implying?
Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason the real killer had also seen Ron Delight.
Impossible.
Bap. Are they gonna... Yep, there he is. Detective Atme, you saw Master Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known that what Ron was wearing. What is going on? What? Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. That's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight. He then claimed to be guilty as Master Mask in order to escape his true crime. And to that end, he came up with this plan to use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi. Oh, it's Ron.
At any rate, it would seem that we've finally found the truth.
Excuse me?
I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man, besmirching him with the title of murderer.
Don't ignore me.
Oh, I didn't realize you were there.
Why wouldn't he be? About the verdict?
I know. You never committed any murder.
That's right. I'm so glad you understand that, but I really am Master Mask.
Huh.
So, thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent right now, right?
Uh,
What was that you said? Double jeopardy.
now that you mention it.
Ron Delight girl bossing it up. Let's go.
I need a drink.
God, legend.
I've been careless.
Careless. Ron Delight does play to win, man. What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried for the same twice for a crime in which he has been or was once found innocent. Then Master Mask is really innocent? It would seem so. For now. But for now.
Now then, this court finds the defendant.
Yay! Ron Delight doesn't get sent to hell. Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, This isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I'm still Master Mask after all. You did it, Phoenix. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days. Oh? I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kinda torn these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Crane Channeling School? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. Misty Faye, right? This is gonna be fun. Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? Of course. Well then, see you around. Mia. Mr. Wright? I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. Thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though? Not that the...
Come on, just be happy already.
Maya.
You've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as Master Mask to boot.
But in exchange, I lost everything.
Huh? What do you mean?
Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Master Mask. I did it all for one reason. For her. You mean your wife, Desiree. She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure. So that's why you became Master Mask. Yes, but it's all over now. A broken bowl can never be put back together.
That's not true, right, Nick?
Right, okay, saving. You have to show him evidence. I don't want to mess this up. Really? Can we go back to the the way things were.
You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it.
I can? I kind of wish you would check with me first.
Mr. Delight, even if Bull is broken, there is always a way to put it back. The urn! The urn! The urn! The urn! The urn! The sacred urn! Destiny was the one who found this. Desiree, your wife, she'll always believe in you, Ron. It is always the most stressful part of the trials. I never want to mess it up. I want them to be happy. If I hadn't gotten the whip thing right in 2-4, I would have cried. True. 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 The broken bull analogy. Do be saving me, though. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Yeah. Ah, there you are. But Miss Delight. Why did he call her Miss Delight? It's Mrs. Delight if they're married. I don't know, man. You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. I know he said Miss, but it would be Mrs. Because marriage. Thank you. I appreciate that, but I suppose you don't want anything to do with me, do you? I thought it was the other way around. 'Cause, like, okay. 'Cause MRS means that you're a married woman, and What? I was taught that it was completely opposite. Like, Ms. would be unmarried, and then Mrs. Yeah, Mrs. is MRS, which Mrs. is like if you're married to someone. I'm gonna look this up. 1 second. Cause I'm very sure of it. Yeah. A title used before a surname or full name to address or refer to a married woman or a woman who has been married without a higher or honorific or without a higher or honorific or professional title. Not MS. Oh, woman. Oh, that's wild. I was never taught that. That's weird. I was always taught that, like, Miss was for unmarried women. I don't know. Wild. We learn something new every day. Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB security. Never imagined that you were really mask to mask either.
Miss Delight, what are you going to do now that you know? You're not gonna really leave him, are you?
Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's real fast. So fast, there's no way he could ever get away. Desiree Delight stinking runs over Ron. But didn't you say that you hated criminals? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective. I see. My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. It's really hard to say it in this accent.
Chivalrous?
I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement. Desi. Oh, I love them. Desiree, you really love Ron, don't you? Nicky boy? Yes? I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Oh, well, take care of yourself. You too, Nicky boy. I can feel my face going red.
Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations.
Get his ass! Talk about bad timing.
Mr. Nick, how could you with another man's wife in front of Mystic Maya? I'll never forgive you. Never, ever.
Pearls beats you to death, ASMR. I love Pearls. So, just as the case came to a close, so did my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. But I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Pearls is so short. Pearls is so short you can't see her over the text box. Oh, she's so small. And then Maya Pog. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. Yeah, no, there she is. She's so small.
She's just a little dude. She's just a little guy.
Oh, it's this episode. Wait, does that mean that episode 4 is the... This is the restaurant one, right? What? Recipe for turnabout terrifies me. Because it does... I know that people have a lot of grievances with it, but also it looks like a fun chapter. Because it's got Maggie Bird, it's got Phoenix 2, it's also got the people with like the weird tech glass things, the weird tech people, apparently. I thought they would be in like 4 or something, but I guess not. I don't know. But I think I will wrap up streaming for the night. And then we can... ow. We can do... I doubt I could get through the entirety of the case within one stream. Yeah. But I can try and do that, hopefully sooner than I've been streaming, since I keep having like week-long breaks in streams, which I don't want to do, because I do enjoy streaming. But hopefully, we will see. My schedule is very hectic. Yeah, recipe is probably multiple streams. Yeah, definitely. A lot of the cases are. I usually get through like half and then have to do half again. But, good night for now. Have a lovely evening. I will see you guys hopefully soon. But good night, goodbye. Where's the... Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! What? 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 Okay, we're ending that there. Goodbye.